On April 21st, 2025, Vice.com published an article entitled, "Why is this gamer sups VTuber pushing the Great Replacement Theory?" Subtitle, "Meet Kirsche Verstahl. One of her fans is a bona fide Nazi." This article is written by one Anna Valens. Now, who is Anna Valens, you might ask? Well, if we click on the name, here we get a little history. Anna Valens is a contributor for Waypoint Vice Media, with a decade's worth of experience across such sites as The Daily Dot, Fanbyte, Polygon, Esports, and The Mary Sue. She is a veteran of the games journalism industry. One of her first published features was written for Waypoint in 2016, discussing Valhalla and sex work. Anna has since continued reporting on gaming culture issues, including queer and trans representation in video games. A core focus of her career has been adult content. Her book, Tumblr Porn, discusses the rise and fall of the titular social media website. Already, you might be painting a picture in your mind of the kind of individual that Anna Valens might be. Keep that in the back of your mind. And anyway, let's read this article. GamerSups is pretty much ubiquitous in VTubing. Owned by popular online content creator Jay Schlatt, GamerSups advertises itself as the most effective and healthy energy choice for gamers and esports talent alike. Combine caffeine with nootropics, then slap on branding marketed toward geeks and gamers. Ooh, I see what you did there. And you've got GamerSups. It's a rite of passage for a growing VTuber to gain a GamerSups partnership, let alone snag a merchandise run via the company's waifu cups line. Neanners, for example, received her own cup with the company, as did Shy Lily. Minor note, I don't know who any of these people are. I just read this article without any prior knowledge because it was related to drama surrounding... Anyway, we continue with the article. However, GameSups is in hot water with many VTuber fans due to the behavior of one particular creator working with the company, Mythic Talent's Kirsche Verstahl, an anime fox girl with a knack for sharing alt-right talking points. Kirsche has landed herself in controversy after controversy online due to her alt-right beliefs. At this point, it begs the question whether GamerSups will one day pull the plug on the VTuber for good. The absolute rot of left-wing extremism hits you almost immediately. One of her fans is a bona fide Nazi. Well, that's a relief. The last thing that we need is another fake Nazi. So thank you, Anna Valens, for your decades worth of journalistic experience. You have keenly spotted a verified soldier of the Third Reich. Tremble, ye mighty, and despair. Now you might be thinking, is this article really being posted in 2025? Didn't the left continually try pinning the dreaded Nazi title to Donald Trump back in 2015 and all over again leading up to the 2024 election? No, we are reading this correctly. And this Vice article even includes a cartoon image of Kirsche in semblance with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump that happened in July of 2024. You know, one of the key events during Trump's campaign that boosted his popularity and made leftists openly seethe. This begs the question, is Vice Media completely lacking in self-awareness? Or maybe it's just Anna Valens? Anyway, we are already seeing the same old refrains that have been around for the past 10 years. You call your enemies Nazis and alt-right, all the while disregarding the elephant in the room that the people touting these viewpoints are doing so as a part of a sensationalized performance as anime waifus. Vice, we know you don't want the pendulum to swing to the right, but that is the way the wind is blowing right now. So it's no secret why some of these VTubers are hitching their wagons to the winning team. It is profitable and it ensures there are a variety of media to pick and choose from, depending on the party politics of viewers engaged with said media. Kirsche has landed herself in controversy after controversy online due to her right-wing beliefs. Well, first of all, what counts as controversy for Anna Valens? Is that universal or just unique to the moral antics of Vice Media? Not only is Anna yet to establish what former controversies Kirsche has supposedly landed herself in, but further loads an already loaded introduction with speculative nonsense that presumes the reader, yours truly, has even agreed to anything said at all. Now, the nature of the hit piece makes itself readily apparent here with, it begs the question whether Gamer Supps will one day pull the plug on the VTuber for good. This article is a good case study for the absolute state of modern journalism. The dregs of the intellectual priesthood whose cruel hand has been exposed time and again for the last 10 years. This article isn't written to change anyone's mind, nor to convince anyone of anything at all. It is written for people who are driven by the passion of a secular religion, not intellectual reason. This article itself is its own performance, written solely for those who already agree with the writer, and that's how everyone can tell this is not real journalism. Now, there is in fact a legitimate methodology for persuading others that a particular position is more valid than its opposing view, and it's a method that does not rely on emotional manipulation, rather effective argumentation, which requires articulating the underlying intuitions that support each side of the argument, and thereby demonstrating why one set of intuitions aligns more closely with reality. In this regard, Anna Valen's article falls short. It fails to engage with or clarify the foundational intuitions that inform Anna Valen's own perspective on things. And so, why should I, as the reader, care about anything Anna Valen says? Continuing with the article, Kirsche is relatively popular for a VTuber, sporting over 56,000 followers on Twitter and at least 44,400 on Twitch. She originally announced her partnership with Gamer Supps in September 2023, followed by a merchandise reveal this past March. From shirts to cups, Kirsche fans will soon be able to flag their love for the right-wing fox girl in real life. All thanks to Gamer Supps. While some VTubers may wink and nod to conservative beliefs, Kirsche has never hidden her political leanings. In fact, she gained a reputation for speaking out on behalf of the right-wing side of the VTuber fanbase. In February, she said trans women advocating for trans rights are autogynephiliac males with graphic murder fantasies. Based. She praised Mythic Talent co-owner Asmongold for arguing, every trans kid is actually a victim of a parent with mental illness. Gamergate's subreddit r Kotaku in Action has shared Kirsche's work to acclaim, calling her based fox. Another post on our YouTube drama declared Kirsche the main culprit for alt-right pandering in VTubing. In casual conversation on her Gamer Supps merchandise drop, VTuber fans were quick to describe Kirsche's right-wing. One Redditor even went to great lengths to stress they were not attempting to take a side on Kirsche's content, but simply objectively describe her to those who have not seen her work. She's alt-right, anti-woke, and apparently transphobic to a degree. Few comments mentioned her calling trans women being mentally ill men. Based. One Redditor said, update. May 9, 2025, a link to this user's comment has been removed on the poster's request. None of this is my own info. Just restating what other people said. Can't confirm or deny this stuff. Well, again, I approach this as a case study for why this mode of journalism does not work in practice, and it shows itself to be merely a mode of manipulation. Propaganda. If you want to convince me that I need to feel the way you feel about what Asmongold said, about what Kirsche said, or about why I need to take the words of random Redditors under any serious consideration, then you need to be surfacing and comparing pre-logical assumptions that guide people's reasoning. Because to change anyone's mind, you therefore must address the worldview that shapes their logic and feelings. Shouting Nazi and alt-right and conjuring controversies in your head will do nothing but persuade me that you are yet another NPC driven by the same rhetorical garbage that led to the political pendulum pushback happening right now. We know that the digital world is fracturing before our eyes, yet that former priesthood, in its death knell, through acolytes such as Anna Valen, seeks to perpetuate even more cancel culture against anyone who dares notice things or conveys even an ounce of pattern recognition. And we must also note, a link to one of the Redditor's posts here was removed after request. Allow me to engage in my own speculation here and assume that this poster probably did not want to be associated with Anna Valen's heavily biased hit piece against an animated furry-adjacent waifu. Yeah, maybe not every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to be Vice Media's personal army. Continuing with the article, alt-right seems to be an accurate description of Kirsche and her politics. In one clip, Kirsche gives weight to the Great Replacement Theory, a racist conspiracy theory suggesting people of color are ethnically cleansing white people through demographic changes and cultural diversity. In the clip, Kirsche argues that a mosque should not be built in northern England, declaring a hostile takeover is happening in the US via illegal immigration and through the UK via the migrant crisis nonsense and refugees. Our politicians are assisting these people with both demographic replacement as well as just making citizens' lives worse in general. They're changing the entire culture of these countries, Kirsche said, essentially implying both the UK and US are intended for white Europeans and Americans respectively. Based. It is still going to change these countries irreparably in the future. So here Anna is enacting an argumentative fallacy referred to as a seeming, and as I've established so far, Anna's article lacks depth and persuasive force. It does not demonstrate why anything Kirsche has said does not conform with reality. Therefore, in lieu of any counter-argument, Anna asserts a seeming, which enables an accusation hidden within plausible deniability. The way this works is a person can make any number of seemings based on whatever flimsies one pleases. Just note that calling the fallacy out for what it is simply a matter of saying something that seems to be true is not necessarily true. But as we can see, Anna is afraid to say anything absolutely, instead choosing to play guilt by association. The attribution of giving weight to an alleged racist conspiracy theory works hand in hand with this seeming. Hypothetically, if this was an outright assertion rather than straw-manning Kirsche's position, whatever it might be, then I would further address it under the pretense of rhetorical failure. The problem with outright referring to statements as racist or conspiracy theories is generally understood as disingenuous. Terms like these are becoming widely recognized as words used to cow people. Why this rhetoric is falling apart is because what is subliminally recognized is a lack of invention. Simply calling someone racist or a conspiracy theorist does not examine their intuitive framework. The claims never rise above the surface of the words themselves. As far as I'm concerned, racist is a fake word invented to make white people afraid of defending themselves. Furthermore, Anna is not adapting this article to any outside audience. And what I mean by that is Anna still has not yet addressed the beliefs or intuitions of Kirsche, and therefore we recognize this rhetoric as speaking past any criticisms of the words being used. Therefore, this article is only persuasive to those who already agree with it, and it is based on that premise the nature of the hit piece reveals itself. Anna is throwing a bunch of charged words and phrases at a wall, assuming a position of plausible deniability, and is seeing what will and will not stick. Continuing with the article, this was not a one-off comment. In April, she retweeted the White House's ICE tip line to aid the deportation of undocumented Americans. In February 2025, she said she was happy with the mass deportations under Trump, but warned the federal government was offering undocumented Americans massive amount of free given on the taxpayer dime. She even called Lawrence, Massachusetts a no-go zone full of illegal activity, and implied the city could only be recovered if all of its undocumented citizens were removed. Based. If ICE sweeps here, it will become a ghost town and maybe can be rebuilt, she tweeted. What would logically follow here is any indication anything Kirsche has said is wrong or incorrect. But Anna's disingenuousness proceeds. I think what most pundits might assume here is a position arguing in support of anything Kirsche has said. But that would presume this article presents anything less than the same talking points adopted by the progressive left for the last 10 years. But we know what this is. This is all made specifically to intimidate people into compliance. And it is exactly that kind of attitude that has turned people into Trump voters, and even regulars on Kirsche's streams. What that means is that she necessarily becomes a cheerleader for the thoughts and feelings of her viewers. And under such oppressive regimes such as ESG, DEI, Bridge, and any other form of anti-whiteism, it makes sense that nomads would find refuge under the umbrellas of other performative noticers, including certain VTubers. Next, the article says, but it was Kirsche's tweets in mid-April that drew her Gamersup's partnership back into the public spotlight. Oh, this is one of the slimiest portions of this article. The only thing drawing this partnership into public spotlight are people like Anna Valens and Vice Media. But here the wording assumes that Kirsche is obligated to respond under a presupposed disposition. The article continues. On April 14th, Kirsche responded to an online rumor about Carmelo Anthony, a black teen charged with killing a white 17-year-old named Austin Metcalf. A post incorrectly claimed that Anthony's family had purchased a house with online donations, a rumor which spread through right-wing social media circles before later being debunked by Snopes. Kirsche fed into the claim. This is the only part of the article actual journalism was attempted, but still failed. The original post Kirsche responded to came from America First Post, which was reposting a story from the UK Daily Mail about how some of the funds from the Give Send Go would be spent on moving. What this means is that even if Kirsche's response, getting a payday to buy a house by killing a white man, just makes sense, reparations after all, is technically incorrect, yes, but that does not matter because this is yet another rhetorical failure on the part of Anna Valens. Kirsche's comment is one in a sea of people making similar comments about the nature of Carmelo Anthony's Give Send Go, particularly how it is obviously being driven by identity politics. The article continues. The next day, Kirsche responded to a post claiming body cameras killed the Black Lives Matter movement. In a quote retweet, she shared body cam stills from police altercations with Deshaun Leith and Sidney Wilson, two black Americans who were shot and killed by American police officers. With one image, a police officer points a stun gun at Leith while he lunges forward. In another, Wilson holds a knife while the responding officer points a gun at her. The still is taken seconds before he discharged his weapon. Who wore it better? Kirsche tweeted, Body Cam Edition. In both incidents, body cam video depicts law enforcement acting in self-defense. However, the implication of Kirsche's response is that black Americans are lying about the commonality of police brutality in the United States. The Sentencing Project notes black Americans were 2.5 times as likely to be shot and killed by police officers as whites, per data from 2015 to 2021. At this rate, police will kill an estimated 1 in 1,000 black men, the organization wrote. Police officers' greater inclination to stop and search people of color suggests that differences in people's behavior alone are unlikely to account for disparities in lethal police violence. Why acknowledge that law enforcement acted in self-defense only to immediately refer to it as police brutality? Is this contradiction some sort of legal obligation for your trash hit piece? In any case, Kirsche responded to Matt Walsh on X, an action which, according to our 10-year journalism veteran, apparently signals a very elaborate set of convictions. And of course, we are then presented with a flood of statistics, allegedly disproving a strawman argument fabricated by Anna Valens. Yeah, just throw it all onto the wall, Anna. Maybe something will stick. Kirsche's mid-April posts reached a breaking point for the VTubing community, causing many users on Twitter to criticize GameSups for partnering with the creator. One VTuber, KO, ended his Gamersup's partnership 2 days after Kirsche's tweets. While KO did not name Kirsche directly, he pointed to his concern with certain creators affiliated with the brand, sharing openly bigoted views without facing any consequences. this. I encourage fellow creators to think about whether or not their partnership with the company is worth continuing, KO wrote. I don't agree that it's a good idea to just let creators create content and try to do our best to just make the best products on the internet if it means allowing hateful people to be representing your brand. Anna says many users here but chooses to name only one example who didn't even name Kirsche directly. And below this post, several other users point out the hypocrisy of this KO character. Can't be racist toward white people, but of course someone like you wouldn't know that. And this is also likely the reason KO's post was featured by Anna Valens, because it affirms the idea that racism requires power, which is rooted in critical race theory and other civil rights era sociology. It's another reason why the Civil Rights Act ought to be completely abolished. But again, that's just my opinion, yada yada yada. Continuing with the article, it remains unclear whether GamerSupps will issue a response to Kirsche's behavior. For the record, the VTuber has previously welcomed controversy promoting the brand risk GamerSupps product while declaring, "According to my marketing team, I am a brand risk." Yeah. Why won't she admit to saying this very specific thing that will provide Anna Valens' hit piece with any actual proof it needs to compromise Kirsche's GamerSupps partnership? What fantastic journalistic integrity you have. Of course, Kirsche may walk herself into a controversy that's impossible for GameSupps to defend. I see, there's that conditional language, heaping on more and more plausible deniability. This could be the case after the right-wing VTuber retweeted a Kirsche fan named Senchu Mimikyu. Senchu recently received an official Kirsche U2's plushie and posted with it. In one of the images shared by Kirsche, Senchu placed Kirsche's plushie next to an enormous collection of Nazi and fascist books, including a 3-year hardcover book display from white nationalist publisher Antelope Hill Publishing. Senchu's Twitter page is filled with anime women promoting Nazi imagery and works. In one tweet, an anime girl with a swastika is shown, along with the message, "Did somebody say race war?" This Nazi imagery extends to the books seen in the image retweeted by Kirsche. The hardcover book display features 2 books with the Iron Cross and one with the Nazi eagle, complete with the swastika. The 3 books shown are also popular fascist works. Michael by Joseph Goebbels, in his own words, The Essential Speeches of Adolf Hitler, and The Burning Souls by neo-Nazi Leon Degrelle, according to Senchu. Kirsche responded to the user, "I like your sleeves, gloves, and boots." You know, I don't think I have ever heard of any of those books before, Vice Media, and I have been looking for some light reading lately. I will have to extend my thanks to Anna Valens and Vice Media for identifying what these books are and who wrote them. Thank you for letting me know about them. And as for the comment that Kirsche made about the sleeves, gloves, and boots, I have to say, this seals it. This is a clear indication that Kirsche has bad taste in clothing. I submit this as the evidence that GamerSupps should not partner with Kirsche. Alright. While Kirsche is a political VTuber, it remains unclear if the content creator was aware of the Nazi imagery on the bookshelf or the various fascist books on display. In fact, several VTubers jumped into a lively Twitter debate about whether Kirsche had the knowledge to recognize fascist imagery at all. One German VTuber claimed she didn't even know that the Iron Cross was a popular Nazi symbol. Regardless, it's likely Kirsche is now aware of the imagery and meaning of the book shared by the retweeted user after a day's worth of discourse on Twitter. Yet, Senchu's post remains shared on her Twitter page. Well, you know what? I love history. And you know, I agree with Anna here. More people do deserve to know about these books and what is in them and what the images mean. So I'm going to make a proposal. Anna Valens, you need to read these books aloud from start to finish and post videos of the audio performance online. Throw in some history about the Iron Cross while you're at it. You need to educate the masses on these important subjects. Alright? Perhaps it is irrelevant whether Kirsche knew about the political imagery behind Senchu's post. Irrelevant? Irrelevant to what now? What are you talking about, Anna? You just mentioned a random interaction between Kirsche and another person on X. You made zero effort in explaining what any of it meant. As an outsider to whatever the hell is going on between you and Kirsche, I need to know why I should care about anything you're talking about here. Good persuasion involves revealing and analyzing intuitive foundations. Deeply felt or commonly held assumptions that shape people's understanding of any issues. So do me the courtesy and tell me, why should I care about this? Anyway, moving on. What matters most is how GamerSupps feels on the matter. This is not Kirsche's first controversy, and it likely won't be her last. Which begs the question, is there a line Kirsche and other content creators can cross before a partnership is threatened with the company? Vice has reached out to GamerSupps, Kirsche, and Kaio for comment. But what was the controversy? I mean, you wrote this entire article and failed to mention what, if anything, was controversial here. There are no questions being begged. No questions other than why you decided to write such a horrendous hit piece. What drove you to write such an embarrassing piece of tripe as this? It boggles the mind. How would anyone you reached out to comment on this in any way, shape, or form, given just how vague and presumptuous it all is? This is not 2015 anymore. Far too many people now are well aware of this silly Billy cancel culture mischief y'all get up to. In fact, in the future, let me guide your journalistic hand a bit here. The goal of a good argument is to show that your side's intuitive basis is more in tune with reality than your opponent's. And I feel like that might be incredibly easy for you, considering the party opposing you is an animated big titty fox woman, and you're obviously a completely normal human being, right? I mean, writing an article about jiggle physics mods and Marvel rivals, that's completely normal. Writing an article about vor-themed gacha games? Yeah, completely normal. Writing an article about a giantess dating sim? Yeah, completely normal. Plus, there's this Reddit post I found here. Hi, I'm Anna Valens. I'm trans, gay, and a reporter for the Daily Dot. I've covered everything from transphobic memes and right-wing conspiracy theories about gender transitioning to writing about my present personal experience as a queer trans girl. Ask me anything. I report a lot about the LGBTQ community, but I also write about being a queer trans girl and what that means for myself, my partner, and my friends and loved ones. Some of my stories have floated around the internet for the past year, from being a transgender lesbian to tackling right-wing conspiracy theories about gender transitioning, to breaking down transphobic memes, to enjoying a quirky little book called Nevada. I'm really fascinated with the intersection between being queer, being trans, and finding some space to be yourself in this bizarre and strange world we live in during 2018, and making sense of everything is so therapeutic thanks to what I do. And if we scroll down a bit in your AMA, we find this little story here. I did a review for the Lawand and sat down with a trans sex educator here in New York City. She taught me things about trans women's bodies that I never would have known, like how a pre-op, non-op trans woman's nerves work in their genitals, and why some magic wands are better than others for that reason. As trans women, we don't have a lot reporting out there about our sex lives, and we need more of that. Well, you see there, you are a completely normal human being, completely grounded in reality. That animated fox waifu ain't got nothing on you.